Hello and welcome to The Final Whistle. I'm Steve Forbes.
I'm Kenzie Benali.
And we're here to discuss all the reaction and analysis to a disappointing afternoon as St Mary's Southampton let a 2-goal lead slip to lose 3-2 to Man United in the dying minutes. Here to discuss it all with us is Dean Hammond and Adam Leitch. Let's start off by just getting your general reaction to the game, gentlemen. Adam, what did you make of it?
Yeah, obviously a bit gutted at the end, Steve. Real shame having been 2-0 up. If I'm totally honest, I think on the balance of the entire 90 minutes, the overall play and chances created, I do think Man United probably just about edged it, and probably they deserved just about to get the 3 points. But that doesn't really stop it hurting when you're 2-0 up. And even at 2-2 in the closing seconds, you're thinking, well, actually, you probably would have taken a point from this game beforehand. And so it's actually a decent result. And then to come away with nothing, it's a little bit of a kick in the guts for Saints, I think. On the positive side, I think we've seen plenty of character from them this season, and it's going to test their character coming back from this, because I'm sure that they would have felt it as well. Overall, yeah, like I say, United started better. Saints had a spell, obviously, where they did very well. They got their 2 goals. But then the half-time change, bringing on Cavani, really totally changed the game. And United were the better team for the majority of the second half. And as I say, in the end, though disappointed, trying to put a neutral head on for a moment, I think they probably just about edged it.
Yeah, disappointing result then, Dean, considering such a strong first-half performance.
Yeah, it was. And I think we have to just know that it was an excellent first half performance after a slow start by Southampton, or a strong start by Manchester United. Came into the game, got 2 very good goals, especially, James Ward-Prowse's free kick and a corner from a set piece, which they would have worked on the training ground. So that was good. And a really strong first half where they were dominant of Manchester United, looked fitter, looked stronger. But Man United did have some chances, did have quite a few opportunities during the game, and just came on strong in the second half. And that change with Cavani came on, made a big difference. It kind of freed up Rashford a bit, and he came more into the game and more influential into the game. But United are a good team. They've got world-class players. So, like Adam said, a 2-2 result would have been an excellent result. But to lose it last minute is disappointing. But I think it's the first time we probably saw a little bit of fatigue coming into the team, potentially. They looked a little bit tired towards the end. And if you think about it, off the wave they've been on, with the performances they've been on, the consistent team, it probably was going to happen at some point. So no disgrace to lose to Man United 3-2, but just a little bit of disappointment, because a point would have been an excellent result.
Yeah, it was a tough result to take, that one, wasn't it? But sticking with you then, Dean, let's discuss the positives, because there were still plenty of them in that match. Let's talk about Bednarek's goal, because, he's been so fantastic this season, and, great to see him get on the score sheet, and a great delivery from James Ward-Prowse as well. How pleased were you to see that?
Yeah, it was a lovely set piece, and like I said, one they would have worked on, and one they would have identified with Manchester United maybe being particularly weak at the front post. And excellent movement. I think he'd done 2 movements before he got a flick in the header, and it was a really good finish after an excellent delivery. We know James Ward-Prowse can deliver the ball with pace and accuracy. So, no, excellent goal. And it was lovely to see him score, because he's probably saved a lot of goals and opportunities at the other end. And it's nice for him to get his first goal of the season. So it's always nice as a manager and a coach to see work that you've done on the training ground happen in a match. So a lovely finish, and you can see they'd worked on it. The timing was good, the delivery was good. So that was one of the positives of many in the first half.
Yeah, Adam, as Dean said there, that's his first goal of the season. But how good has Bednarek been overall for you?
Yeah, I think over the course of this season, if you were to be looking at kind of a most improved player for the first part of this year, he would be right up at the top of your list. That's not to say that he wasn't doing well at the end of last season, because clearly he was. But his game has come on leaps and bounds. If you wind back 12 months from where he was then and you look at where he is now, he's clearly improved massively. And then I guess the biggest compliment you can pay to him is that the defence has kind of changed from in terms of Ralph's selection, that he is probably the first name on the team sheet in the centre of defence. And then it's a case of Ralph deciding who to play with him. At the moment, it's Vestergaard. It has been Stevens. But I think the fact that Bednarek has elevated himself to be the first choice of any pairing really just underlines how far he's come. And on a day like today, it was a difficult day for both the centre-halves today. I think Vestergaard particularly struggled today compared to some of the very commanding performances we've seen recently, but against world-class opposition. But Bednarek still kind of held his own and was still relatively solid. And yeah, I think he's much improved this year. And I think the good thing for Saints is I think there's still a lot to come from him as well.
Dean, let's talk about James Ward-Prowse's free kick then. We spoke about his delivery for Bednarek, but, another one to add to the list, his 9th goal from a direct free kick, and it was from close range as well. Just how difficult is that to execute?
Well, massively difficult. I know I wouldn't be able to do it. So, but no, he's exceptional at his free kicks, and we've mentioned it before. But the angle as well, just to get it over that wall and so close to the post, because De Gea almost got that. Well, he got a hand to it. Excellent execution. He knows what he's going to do, and it was nice to see because, in the first half, James Ward-Prowse was feisty. He made a few good tackles. He looked like he was up for the game. He was putting his intent on the game, and then to become very calm and very composed for the corner for a good delivery, and then to get a free kick and opportunity to score a goal like he did was excellent. And he must relish them moments when the ball is near the box to think, okay, it's a real goal scoring opportunity for Southampton and for him when he's in range like that. So brilliant execution, the whip and the pace he gets on the ball to beat one of the best goalkeepers in the world from that distance is excellent. So credit to him, and I thought he had a commanding first half. Really stamped his authority on the game, and to get a goal and an assist, very, very good.
Yeah, it's not just goal-scoring free kicks that he's got in his locker. He's got a good assist record. He's a pretty consistent performer in the midfield. Adam, how do you think he did at pulling the strings today for Southampton?
Yeah, it was a decent game, but I think United were good opposition for Saints today, and they've got good players in that area. And I think probably Romeo struggled a little bit more today. Fernandes is such a great player, and he's such a problem in that pocket that he buzzes around in. And that did cause Saints, and particularly Romeo, quite a few problems today. And Ward-Prowse then playing alongside him, I suppose, was somewhat impacted by that as well. I thought they were decent, but United, especially in that period they had of domination in the first half, they were going through the midfield. And they were going through with probably more ease than you would like. Second half, when they were on top, it was a little bit different. But it was a decent performance from Prowse today. A great goal and great set piece delivery. And I guess that's the mark of the consistency. Like, you come out of a day like today and you think, yeah, Prowse probably didn't have his best day today, but probably you're still giving him a 7 out of 10. He still scored a goal and he's assisted another goal. And what can you say, really? That's a mark of his newfound consistency, really. As whereas if you'd have gone back 2 or 3 seasons, I think that's a kind of game where he would be in danger of just getting a little bit lost, but not anymore. So even when he's not at his absolute best, he's still making a massive contribution to the team. And I think that's kind of the positive that he'll take away from today, as well as his goal.
Dean, let's talk about Alex McCarthy now then. We spoke about his form before the game. He made a fantastic double save, albeit from his own mistake. That was a bit of a heart-in-the-mouth moment, wasn't it?
It was, and I think that just shows the confidence he's playing with. He wanted to play into midfield. He wanted to play a nice pass into the midfield players so they could progress and keep possession. But no, it was a fantastic double save. The first one was a strike from Greenwood and kind of reaction save, and then a quick feet, quick reaction, a long body and his long arms to get the second save in, and then kind of touched it third time with his elbow to get it away from Fernandes. So, no, really, really good save. And he continued his good form. I don't think he could do really anything about the goals, to be honest. He looked pretty commanding today. He was good with his hands and pretty good with his feet, except for that pass. So a good performance. And like most of the Southampton team today, they played pretty well. There was good spells in that. I think they just got overrun towards the end by a good Man United team who have got good players and are fit and are strong, good attacking players. And they just slowly felt that tiredness, I think, Southampton. But McCarthy pulled off. That was a fantastic save. And that might be the eye-catching moments that we talked about before the show, before the game, that he needed because they were a fantastic save.
Yeah, let's move into the second half. And Adam, where did it start to go wrong for Southampton? Was it just that United started to show their quality then?
Yeah, to an extent. I mean, I guess I think the only thing I'd say is that it's probably wrong to look at just the second half, because United started very well as well. It wasn't as if Saints totally dominated that first half. United should, in fairness, have got the first goal. Saints I think Dean said about fatigue, and I think he's right. And I don't think that necessarily that showed just in those closing stages. I think they looked a bit fatigued and a bit leggy, and maybe mentally just a little bit fatigued, I felt, as much as physically from the beginning. And they kind of got away with it at the start. They struggled to get to grips with United's shape, I think. They also, the press just didn't have quite the same snap and intensity as they've had. They then kind of got it back, and they got their couple of goals, and they were really impressive in that period. Then second half, I think Cavani coming on, not just obviously the goals that he provided, but actually just positionally having that kind of an out-and-out striker through the middle, which, as Dean said, freed up Rashford and some of the other players as well to kind of be a bit more creative and to still have that presence through the middle, along with United being fit and strong and powerful and very good, and getting some momentum behind them, kind of just shifted Saints. And you could see Saints kind of dropping further and further off of it a little bit. And if I'm being super critical of Ralph, I must admit I didn't really understand the substitution when he brought Long on. Not that I didn't think you necessarily take Gineppo off, but I felt like at that moment in time, it felt like more of an occasion that maybe that's one of those times where you shore things up a little bit and maybe you adapt yourself a little bit, which, I mean, it sounds a bit hypocritical because we praised him so much in the past for not going down the route of that. But I just wondered at that stage of the game, I don't know, I just didn't feel that change really worked out for them all that well. And I guess once United had made it 2-1, you kind of felt it was going to be a long rest of the game for Saints, and really so it proved. So a mixture, I think, of that fatigue that Dean spoke of that was definitely on display, but also quality from United, both in the quality they were able to bring off the bench to affect the game and the quality of the players they had on there who kind of recognised, I think, that through the start of the game they had that Saints were not impenetrable for them, and that if they could get into it, then they might well still have a chance of winning it. And they obviously did that, and quite impressively in the end.
Dean, obviously United did make a couple of personnel changes in the second half. We've spoken about how impactful that introduction of Cavani was. But what else changed for United in the second half?
Well, I think it was his impact, if I'm honest. It was more that his presence, nothing against Greenwood. Greenwood's an exciting young player. But experienced players that have a reputation and a presence can not only make players within the Man United team better, it makes the Southampton players more aware, maybe more negative, because they're more not scared, but they're more aware of him as a presence and as a forward player. And he has got that added quality. United they were 2-0 down, so they kind of let the reins off and they had to go for it, even though they were pretty solid first half. And Rashford was much, much better. Fernandes is a fantastic player, was getting in more goal scoring opportunities. And the fatigue we spoke about, that was like Manchester United of old, really. If you look back at the Ferguson era, they wouldn't win every game 5-6-0. They would come back and win 3-2. They would be 2-0 down and come back and win 3-2. And that's what United did today. So I think Southampton, when it was 2-2, I kind of agree with Adam. They kind of maybe just needed to keep a bit of a shape and a little bit of a discipline. But they have been so successful with the philosophy and the way they've played. So sometimes it's hard to change because you feel as though you can go and win the game even though it's 2-2. So I think it was just Manchester United. I think Southampton were a little bit tired, a little bit fatigued, and United just turned it on when they needed to. And Cavani gets 2 opportunities, 2 great headers, 2 great goals. So I think, like Adam said, they sneaked it and probably deserved the win.
Yeah, sticking with yourself, Dean, looking at the result, being 2-0 up and then leaving with nothing, how deflating is it for a player to lose a game like that in the dying embers of a match?
Well, it's disappointing, obviously, and they will go into the dressing room disappointed, and you will look at it and think, okay, what could have I done different individually? What could we have done different as a team? I think what also changed as well, Fernandes go on, I think it was 59 minutes, so just before the hour mark. If Southampton could have got through another 5-10 minutes, it may have been different because United could have been a little bit more deflated. But as a player coming in, you've got to think of the positives. You've got to think we were 2-0 up against Manchester United. We've played well first half. They've come on strong in the second half. We've been on a fantastic run. We're higher in the league than we'd probably expect. So I think there has to be a little bit of a reality check and just realise how well Southampton have played this year and what a good position they're in. So there will be disappointment and there'll be calm analysis, I think. The manager will just calmly look at it, go into training this week and think, okay, what could we have done different? What can we do better in the future? And they've got 2 really good, interesting fixtures coming up now that they'll be really confident in going to win. So, yeah, just a little bit of self-reflection maybe for each individual player and as a team.
Adam, that seems like a really fair analysis there from Dean, because it does feel like we do need perhaps a bit of a reality check, because there's no doubt it was a disappointing ending. But looking at the Premier League table, we're still sitting 5th after 10 games.
Yeah, I think a bit of perspective absolutely is required. And it's why when Saints went top of the league not that long ago, we were all saying, enjoy the moment, enjoy it. There's no need to be negative about it and sort of say, oh, it won't last and things like that, because we all felt that was probably the reality of it. So you've got to enjoy those moments. And that's because you have games like this. You have a game where you play top quality opposition, and in the end, however it happens, maybe they are just a little bit better than you on the day. They've got players they've spent, absolute fortunes on. They should be able to beat Saints technically on paper. And so occasionally, you can't outweigh those odds every so often. And that's the reality of today. But, you've got to look at it in the context of the overall season at this point in time. And there's no point in getting down about it. Man United are a really good team. Yeah, they might have had by their high standards, a slightly indifferent start to the season. But look at their side. They're chocked full of world-class, regular international footballers who win trophies and have won lots and lots of trophies in their careers. They're a very good team. And the worst you can say is that you were disappointed that you only just lost to them. And that's really not too bad a place to be. And they haven't gone out and got steamrolled by Man United. They've come away gutted because they haven't beaten Man United. And that's a positive place to be still. And I think that when the dust settles a little bit on the result, I think not only the players, but I think the fans as well will probably appreciate that and that it's not all doom and gloom just because of one result.
Yeah, definitely. And Adam, looking at the next 2 games, we've got Brighton away next, then followed by Sheffield United at home. That's a real opportunity to start getting things back on track, right?
Yes, a huge opportunity for them here. This was a difficult game. Well, in fact, they've had 2 difficult games. So Wolves, Man United, they're good teams who are going to be right up there in that area that Saints kind of want to be in, sort of in and around the bottom of those European spots. Now they've got 2 teams who are obviously going to be, by the looks of it, fighting for survival. Perhaps a bit harsh to say that that's definitely Brighton's fate this early in the season, but chances are they're probably going to be looking over their shoulder for most of the season rather than looking up the table. And Sheffield United, we know where they are now, and obviously they need to get some points. They haven't necessarily, I don't think either team you can, by all accounts, and from what I've seen, you can accuse of being dreadful this season, but they just haven't probably got the number of results that they ideally might have liked, particularly Sheffield United. But it signals a good opportunity for Saints. There's a good chance there. There's potential of 6 points from those games. And when I think most managers that I've ever known, they do look at the fixture list. They do break it down into areas and they set little targets. Sometimes they set them for the players and sometimes they just set them internally amongst the coaching staff as to what they want to do. And I'm sure when they look at it, United, they probably would have had down as a draw would be great, a win would be a lovely bonus, defeat, not the end of the world. Brighton, Sheffield United, they're two we want to try and win. Then you come out the back and you kind of that, and you kind of got Arsenal, Man City, and you go, okay, maybe they're the ones that we get anything here, it's a bonus, those kind of games. So, yeah, I think Saints will be looking at this. They'll be targeting it. They've got a slight advantage given we said they're fatigued, that obviously they don't play till the Monday night against Brighton. It just gives them just that little bit extra breathing space, freshen the team, the players up a little bit, and potentially, I guess, depending on the fatigue levels, Ralph may look at freshening the side up. And if I think we spoke about Danny Ings, still wouldn't take an undue risk, but I think after today, on balance, if he thinks Ings is fit and ready, I think Ings comes back in now straight away for Brighton if he's available. And maybe you look at freshening up one or two other positions if you feel you need it. But I don't think there'll be wholesale changes. Maybe just Danny in and drop, maybe Gineppo drops out and they drop Theo a little bit deeper. But I think, you stick with it. 2 good chances to get 3 points against 2 teams that are struggling. So, nothing to be overly concerned about out of the back of this game for me.
Yeah, it'll be great to welcome Danny back hopefully next week. But Dean, 2 of your former clubs coming up next for Southampton. What are your early thoughts on those games?
Well, the games that, like Adam said, the manager will target to win or get results in and get points on the board. Both good teams, actually, Brighton and Sheffield United. I covered the Brighton game yesterday and they played good football. They're a decent footballing team and they're good to watch. They're expansive, but they do miss opportunities and they do give you opportunities. So, Southampton going to Brighton, I think will be a test, but I think it's definitely a game they can get a result out of, and they will have that extra rest, like Adam mentioned, not playing till the Monday night. If you can get Danny Ings back into the squad, potentially may not start, but within the squad, that will give the players an extra lift. And obviously coming off the bench, he can have an impact. And Nathan Redmond might be available as well. So that's definitely a game that the manager will think, okay, we can bounce back from this. And Southampton are good at doing that, bouncing back from results, going into the next game, positive manner, positive approach to get another win. And then Sheffield United, again, are a decent team. I know they sit second from bottom, not scoring goals, and that's been their problem. They're not scoring goals, but they played pretty well against West Brom yesterday, and probably should have got something out of the game. But again, it's a game that Southampton will look to win. And Southampton play well and they play at their best and they play with that tempo and that press and that attacking football. They can beat anyone in this league. They've proved that so far. So today do you know what I would take positive out today? Because Manchester United would know they've been in a game and they've had to be at their best to beat Southampton. So as a Southampton player, I think actually we've given them a game and they've had to come in the last 20 minutes to beat us, to be at their best. That's a compliment. So, there's some positives definitely from the game.
Yeah, always important to find the positives. Well, Dean, Adam, thank you so much for your company and analysis as always. We look forward to welcoming you back next week. It was a slightly disappointing afternoon of football, but as we've said in the show, we are still sitting 5th in the Premier League. Do make sure you join us next Saturday at 1:45 when the Saints travel to take on Brighton. See you then.